Tell me about today. Just give me like a general update.
What happened today? Well, I miss, like, now that we're doing, like, computer labs, I get to send, like, some of my kids out. So I sent all my behaviors out this morning. So it was glorious this morning.
How long are they out?
An
Each
hour.
day? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I sent, like, Latasia, I sent Xavier, Mariana, Marquavian.
Well, they're all lower, too, so they could stand to have that differentiated time on the computer.
So this morning was pretty good. And then it was alright. Then math, it was like, because now we're not allowed to have recess all together. So we're stacking.
I noticed that. I saw Phillips outside, and I walked over to be like, hi, everyone. And then I was like, oh, hello, Justin, Miss Phillips. I felt really awkward, but luckily, like, I feel like we're friends, so it's okay.
But, so we're supposed to have recess.
How do you cut it all together?
Well, technically, I'm not even supposed to be going out for recess.
Well, they need it, and you need it. So.
I need it.
It's like a law, so.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But I'm just frustrated. I'm trying to get to Xavier. Is this bad for me to try and get him suspended?
Well, what's he doing?
Well, he got into a fist fight the day before and then spit in Angel's face. And, like, I feel like he's too violent.
Have you talked to his mom?
How am I calling his mom? And then, like, Mr. Williams called his mom. And, like, I sent home his behavior reports. Like, she signs them.
I would try to schedule some meeting all together with Mr. Williams' mom and you and Miss Klein's because she's there and she, well, you know, like she'll be able to vouch for what he's doing. So it won't become like a, you know, you can't, blah, 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 you know. But I would try that first. I mean, you're doing what I would do, calling home and talking to Mr. Williams and logging behavior reports. So I feel like just when he is doing things that warrant him to be sent out of the room, send him out of the room and hope that the office will handle it fairly from there.
But it's just frustrating that they told me, like, oh, we're not going to paddle your kids anymore. We're going to send them home.
And then they haven't done it with him. Maybe ask Mr. Williams about that. Should be like, what happens when I send him to the office? Because
he gets paddled, he comes back and he doesn't change anything. And, like, so it's like, paddling doesn't work. He comes back and does the same thing. And, like, I don't know what else to do. I
mean, you're logging a bunch of documentation up about it, so that can only help in the end. I would call his mom. I would try to set up a meeting and be like, hey, you probably don't hear this, but he's been sent to the office X amount of times. You know, because I know that even when I was a teacher and referrals were sent, they wouldn't call the parents all the time. So she probably doesn't realize even how bad it is. And if she's sitting in front of you and you're looking at her and being like, I care about your kid, I care about him becoming a better student, but right now, like, he is doing things that need, like, immediate correction, so I have to send him out of the room. Maybe that'll put a little urgency in all three of you, you know? Just a thought. But I don't want you to be frustrated anymore, and I know that we've talked a lot about how you sometimes, like, get so overwhelmed by what's happening in your room that you don't know, like, do I send a kid out? Do I give a ticket? La, 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 la. So I'm hoping in this time we can think of some sort of simplified system that you can feel more confident in and that we can work really closely together to see it implemented.
I just feel like every system I try, it doesn't work.
But how long do you try it?
For a
week?
Weeks though, like 2 or 3 weeks. And I just feel like I tried tickets like didn't go well. And then, like, I tried giving points, and then, like, points like didn't go well because they were like, I don't care. Then I tried dojo points, and then my iPad would just go missing like all the time. So I haven't been doing anything like right now. And I'm just like,
well, we need something, right? But I think the tickets were really overwhelming for you. So that probably was a little too complicated, as you talked about. The points, maybe the students didn't see, like, how the points led to anything. So it makes me think of, like, okay, rewards end of week or rewards daily? Maybe we need to shift it to a more short-term thing so they can see, like, within a day, I can get, like, 5 minutes of extra recess if we're great today or whatever.
Because that's what I was doing. I was doing, like, if you had 0 to 4 points, you had, like, half of recess. If you had 5, because I was giving out like a lot of points. So like if you had like 5 to 10, you had like your whole recess. And like if you got like a whole bunch more, and I also aligned it to their behavior sheets. But then like,
that sounds great. What happened with that?
my iPad was always constantly going missing. So I like,
So it was dojo points
Yeah.
versus regular points. I wonder if there's a way you can transfer that system to like a board in your classroom, so then you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about.
I don't know. Because I was like, it
Your
was easy
iPad.
when I had my iPad because I would just like do it right there instead of doing it on the computer because I usually have something like up on the computer because I only have the one computer. And I was just like, then like, it's 5 minutes, like, this one has an iPad, no, this one hasn't. And then like, I'm in the middle of teaching and like, they haven't somehow. And I'm just like, what is.
Well, it sounds like the variable there that got crazy was the iPad, not the
Yeah.
points. Were they really invested in?
Some of them were, some of them weren't. Some of them like, I don't care. Some of them I don't know how to motivate at all.
Who are the ones that you're thinking of with that?
Jaquati is. I mean, he's good, so I like. He has enough intrinsic motivation that like he's fine. But like Xavier, don't know how to motivate that kid. Don't know how to motivate Letitia. Mariana, no idea. But like, I don't know. It's just. Oh.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and you're working your butt off. But your kids are like growing at a typical rate for the year. Like they made 6 months of growth by December, which is exactly appropriate, if not more. That's 2 months more than you taught them. You know, they're doing well in math. Your language objectives are fine. So it's like, think of what it could be like if you had this
But I still
classroom.
have 14 kids failing math.
They haven't met the cut score.
They haven't. So it's like, I don't know. I also feel like what I'm teaching doesn't even matter because all I have to do is pass the school test. So it's like a lot of like bigger things that are like frustrating me on like, why am I going to plan good lessons if all that matters is this one test that like, I don't know. It's just a lot of things that I'm just like, well, I don't know. I'm just not used to working with children that have zero intrinsic motivation. And I hate,
Well,
like, not zero, but like,
yeah, I mean, they're 7, so I feel like to some degree they probably haven't learned what that is yet. And I feel like when I'm thinking about what got me intrinsic motivation, or what I'm assuming got me intrinsic motivation, is more like I knew how I was doing all the time. Like I knew how I was doing in school with grades, and I knew how I was doing behaviorally. I mean, I don't remember like getting in trouble, but I'm sure if I went back and talked to my second grade teachers, they probably had a clip chart. They probably had some silly little points thing that like helped me know, you know? So I feel like you have all this data that you have, but like how have you shared it with your kids a lot? Or like, and you have these systems where they can see how they're doing behaviorally, but how long have you used them? Like, have they stuck? So I really feel like you have all the stuff you need. They just need to like process it themselves, and that's where I think intrinsic motivation comes from. I actually talked to Blackburn about this for a lot last year, because in a lot of my end of year conversations, all my teachers were like, intrinsic motivation, blah, blah. And I was like, Sarah Blackburn, you know everything about classroom culture. You are a goddess in it. So I talked to her, and she's like, data, 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 data. And I was like, you're right. You know?
But at the same point, like, some of my kids know that my data doesn't matter.
Well, then focus it on MAP, you know? They care about those numbers. You can mesh that in with everything else. Like, you will do well on MAPS if you are a better reader. Reading A to Z tells you sooner than MAPS, like, if you're becoming a better reader. Like, you will do well on MAPS if you really focus and go math, and do well on your math tests. Like, you know every week how you do on your math test. So it can almost be like, how do these little pieces connect to our big MAPS goals? But I know that it sucks. You're teaching Common Core, and MAPS is not 100% aligned, and that's really...
It's also frustrating because I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I just looked at the, like, I don't know, the breakdown of, like, what skills they need. And for the language ones, because that's what I planned, none of it was, like, Common Core aligned. Like, I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm going to start teaching to the test.
To the MAPS test? Well, what do they look like on the MAPS test, comparatively speaking?
I don't know. It's a lot.
Because Common Core, it's more writing process, right? And
there's no, like, I'm really big on, like, short answers and, like, trying to, like...
As you should be.
how we should answer, because they don't know how to write at all. And it's just like frustrating that, like, I don't know. And on MAP, it's like, can they, like, I don't even know. Can they figure out what a sentence is?
Like parts of a sentence, and
which is like a first grade and kindergarten objective that they like is still on our thing. It's like, I don't know.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I'm like torn for like my lesson plans. I'm like, do I? Because now they're all like, oh, your lesson plan has to match exactly what you're teaching unless otherwise posted. I'm like, should I teach Common Core, which isn't being tested on MAP, or should I teach like what's being tested on MAP, and then there's a Common Core objective that aligns with that? Like subject-verb agreement is one of the things.
On MAP.
On MAP. But there's no Common Core standard that matches subject-verb agreement.
For second grade?
For second grade. Like there's shades of meaning of verbs, or like writing a complete sentence, but no like making sure that your subject and your verb.
Agreed.
Which is a huge struggle that my kids have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do I write this in my lesson plan? We're not having a Common Core objective when I'm supposed to be teaching Common Core, because I'm taking part, and I'm just like,
No, it's a lot. And that makes me think of like the fact that you guys have tried really hard to build in routines, like the math meetings and the number of the day, and I wonder how you can use that, something like that, in your language block.
Okay.
You know, like
the language block is so short.
It's unfortunately short. Or like
so
a morning
short.
meeting, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I feel like you could do sentence corrections in like 15 minutes during a transition, or during a morning meeting, or during the very beginning of your language block. That every time is a subject-verb agreement part to it, and other stuff like capitalizing and like and complete sentence markers or whatever. But I feel like that will spiral in the 3 questions they might see on maps. Do you have a like item bank that is aligned to maps?
No.
So it's just based on what you
aligned
see when you look over their shoulders when they take the test?
Like they give you like the Descartes, like what is it? Like learning continuum, and like that's basically what maps is coming from. But then that's not necessarily aligned to the standards. So it's like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, you're doing the best you can, and we know that like outside of LaFleur County School District, the Common Core curriculum is what will be an indicator for next year. Because maps, I think it's like the last year we have maps too. This year. I think it was a 5-year thing, and it started a year before I got here. So I'm pretty sure this might be last year unless they rebought it.
okay.
But still, I think, I don't know what the principal would say on all this, but I think it might be worth trying to create a little routine or something where you can pull in the grammar stuff that's not as aligned to Common Core, but gives you time to look at it. It's only going to help them if it's a 3rd grade standard, like they'll be ready for it. Hopefully, you know. But I do think like, Vicki, you are so thoughtful about planning, and you're like such a good planner. I want to create a space where you can execute your lessons as well.
That's the thing is that I get frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to plan fun things, because I feel like sometimes like I try to do them, and then they just like all hell breaks loose, and I'm just like, this is why I don't. And like it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I want to do fun things. I love doing fun things. Like, but today we tried to do a bar graph, and they were fighting over markers. And even though I gave them all a job, they knew their job. They fought over markers, and like to the point where it was getting like violent. I'm like, okay, let's not do this now. And then like, but I also feel like they just did this whole new thing where we have to do like 3 reads. We read the same thing 3 times. So now it's like, oh, don't teach journeys. Teach like a passage, read it 3 times. But then I never have time to do centers, because I'm doing that the way they wanted us to do it. And I just feel like there's not enough hours in a day.
And then you're stressed because on top of that you feel like the class is not listening, etc. I do feel like that is such a classic teacher struggle. There's never enough hours in the day, and like I really respect that you are trying your best to accommodate with the school. is asking of you and what you know is best for kids. Like, that's always a really tough balance to play when you feel like they're at odds, but like at the end of the day, like you will operate with the integrity, knowing that like you tried to bond them as well as you could.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to go to school scared that like a lesson's going to go crazy because of behavior, because you are really thoughtful about your plans. All 4 of you are. Like, you guys have sick plans, all of you together, and I want you to feel confident going in so it doesn't feel like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're not like, oh God, they're going to mess up these markers, and then they mess up the markers, or like, oh God, they're going to, stick glue on their hand and they stick, I want you to go in being really clear about the behavior you want, which you are, but feeling confident you have like a safety net to fall back on, which is why I do think we need to think through a system of like, I want it to be more positive because I feel like you're a positive person generally.
Yes. And then this has changed me. I'm not a positive person anymore, and I hate it.
No, you still are. You just don't feel like you can be with that group, but you can be,
Yes.
You can. We need to reclaim that. We need to shift that. Because you're so smiley here. I want you to be smiling.
And then, I'm tearing up inside. Just like,
I know, and I don't want you to feel that way. So I really want us to find something that you think will be like, it will take a while. Like, it's going to take a while for them to get used to and for you to get used to. But, like, that can be a joyful addition to your classroom, and where you can feel like you're celebrating kids instead of, like, freaking out because something else is happening wrong. I mean, we've all been there. I don't want you to feel bad about freaking out, but I want you to now, like, I want us to think about what can we have in your room that won't overwhelm you, that's, like, simple, and that we can try for a while. And I can model it too. Like, I know sometimes it's weird when other people are with a group and you're like, oh, I felt bad because you were like, they didn't do this with me, la la la. But like, I want us to try something that feels joyful. Does that sound like something you want?
Yes, I feel joy.
I know.
There's 0 in my room right now. I'm just like, oh.
I mean, your kids are excited about learning and they're doing well. And I really feel like if we find like a joyful system for management and investment, and B, like a system for sharing how they're doing in class with grades and with behavior, so that like intrinsic motivation develops, or they can see like how their behaviors connect to grades, etc., then really it will create more of the culture that you want. But it's going to take a while. We have to give this like time to see it through, like more than 2 weeks. And that's scary.
Yeah.
But I think we can do it.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I feel okay. Yeah. Just because I feel like, I don't know, something needs to change.
Yes. And we have to believe that it will work.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Yeah. It's like day one, it's probably going to still be crazy. Or like parts of the day will still be crazy. Then you still got to do it day 2, you know? And day 7 and day 14. Because otherwise then we'll be having the same conversation when really something could have worked. I want it to be simple enough though, because I was totally like you from the last conversation we had, where you're like, I get like ADD in the classroom and I can't focus. I was so like that too. So I needed something like super simple, and I want to talk through about what might be easiest for you.
I really don't, because it's like, and then like with PBIS, we have this like token thing where it's like we're supposed to be getting.
Doesn't that seem a little bit, from what I understand, it's not really followed through on?
That's why I'm like still like struggling. Like, do I give tokens out because they get to go to the store, but then like,
do they ever get to go to the store?
They're supposed to go.
Because from what it
frustrates us because like, it's on a cart. It should just travel around to every classroom. Instead of like, because the Fridays at 2 o'clock, I'm not thinking about the store. Like, to be honest, I'm thinking about like, okay, let's wrap this up and like have fun. But then it's like, especially because that was our recess time too. So it was like, okay, do we go to the store or do we go to recess? And then like, I don't know, all my tokens got stolen, so I don't even know where they are anymore. And
Well, is the school rolling that card around ever?
no, it
So
stays
then
in the office, and it's just like
we should figure something out that doesn't have to do with that. And if
Okay.
the store ever rolls around, you'll have data markers probably. If you're keeping points or like collecting things or whatever, you'll
Yeah.
know really quickly who you can give a quick token to. You can explain that to them,
Yeah.
like when the tokens come back. So let's figure out what overwhelms you and what doesn't overwhelm you, when it comes to keeping track of a system. Like what feels easier.
what overwhelms me is just like
I'm
having
gonna write a little T-chart. You know how I love my T-shirts.
You do.
Keep going.
What overwhelms me is them having something physically,
Okay, so
like having something that can be like
items.
passed around. Yes.
So like tickets overwhelm you.
Yeah.
The iPad overwhelms you.
See, the iPad wouldn't be bad if they like. I loved having an iPad if it stayed where I put it.
Okay.
But like, I don't know. And then I also had like Micaiah Davis who just like would give points for me. And then it was like every day like, oh, can I be it? Oh, can I be it? Oh, can I be it? Which is like, I guess a good thing so that they're like motivated to do that. But at the same time, if I gave it to anyone else, they'd be giving themselves 20 points. And everyone else would be like negative points. And like, it was just like that whole like trust thing that they would give the right people the right points. So, I don't know. It's just what also overwhelms me is like me having to like find things and like having them on me. So like I guess that goes along with things like having to
Like if you
like if I have to like I don't know have something like to give them. I get yeah, that really just goes back to items.
Okay, so whatever we think, it needs to not be like item distribution and then you count whatever they get. It needs to be like on your iPad or like on a board or somewhere that doesn't move and that you have a little bit of autonomy over for now. Like we can see how that might shift over time, but like tickets will go, you'll lose track of them, they'll lose track of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And I need something that adds it up for me because like that's why I liked the dojo points because like it would add it for them and like they were able to see it too. Like if I projected it up with my computer, but it's just like I don't want to stand at my computer all day and give points. Like it's hard to like flip back and forth between like giving points and having whatever I have up there, and I don't know. But just, I think I'm gonna go back to JoJo and just keep
you sound really excited about it.
I liked it. It's just.
If you're worried about the iPad too, could you make like a chart on a whiteboard with your kids' names and just like tally it? That could be fun because it's aligned to the objective too. I mean, it would need to be aligned.
The points because they erase my no recesses like all the time.
Okay, so the dojo. What would we need to think about with the iPad then? It needs to be something that you're responsible for?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't leave it anywhere. That's my problem. Is just like, but then like I'll put it up on my shelf, and then I will forget about it because it's up there, and I'm like, where's my iPad? Where's my iPad?
So maybe we need to create like an iPad spot for you.
Yeah. Okay,
so here's to think about. Your eyes are lighting up talking about dojo.
I like it.
And you know who you should who we could have like a joint meeting with, or who I'll connect you to at our cohort meeting on Tuesday. Chastity Williams uses dojo like nobody's business. Do you know her?
No.
She's a 6th grade math teacher. You'll recognize her when you see her. But she is like a culture leader too who works with Sarah Blackburn. Okay. So she's obviously like culture. But she uses it for parent communication too. She uses it for data with her kids. Like it's like part of the grade, and we're talking about how do we build in like intrinsic motivation, how our kids know how they're doing. Like that can be really great for you too. Like at the end of every day, you have like a grade for dojo. Yeah. So things to think about, like iPad, location. I'm writing Chastity on this too. So we can get some like, she has a blog post actually. Okay. Of how she uses it. So we can look at that first. iPad location for Vicky. Chastity with her blog post for how we can use it for data. One thing I think would be important is like we want it to feel really joyful, right? Like, how do you feel about the dojo points being only for good behavior versus like taking points off with dojo?
Then I have to figure something to take away then. Okay, for like negative behavior, like what do I do for that then?
Well, what have you been doing now? Have you been doing
Just taking points away and
on
then
dojo?
No recess, yeah. But then like they could earn their recess back and it was just like complicated. And,
Yeah, it sounds complicated.
Yeah.
So I'm getting distracted by John Legend right now too. Did you see my head just like? I wonder. Well, I mean, that doesn't have to be it. Like, you don't have to take away, or you don't have to not have negative consequences in dojo. But I do think like it's like you're gonna need to feel like there's a balance in it. You know?
Yeah.
We can experiment and tweak.
Yeah. Because when I was doing it, like there would be some kids that were on like 7, and then some kids that were on like -3. And I was just like,
well, you could also do like positive points and then see like who has the most and be like, if you get X amount of positive points today, like you can go to recess. If you don't, that means you've been doing things that I've had to correct you for.
okay.
And it can be like a threshold with dojo.
Okay. So like saying like, okay, if you get 10 points, you can go to recess, but if you don't get up to 10 points, you can't go.
Possibly.
Okay.
That way you don't need to be like, you did all these things wrong. You can be like, you need to like do right tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's more of what Vicky would say. Like, you know, I want you to be great. You sat in your seat like 4 times today, but you know, we could have, you know?
There was one day that it was like miraculous in the classroom. It was like a half hour and they were so good. And I was just like, this is what it could be, but
Right? When I heard you through the wall, Vicky, it sounded good today when I was creepy and stalking you.
I don't remember when I was talking about Tyworks.
I bet you were just like on some like beautiful math rant.
Probably. Because I loved like doing graphs and data.
This is the perfect unit for you to read in how they're doing. Okay,
love
we need to. This is so exciting. Okay, so do you think, I don't want to like force you into this dojo only can be positive thing, but does that feel comfortable?
Yeah.
I don't want you to not now have consequences, so.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is like, consequences, I don't know what to do. Because it's like, okay.
Well, you won't have to give as many consequences if you're giving 1,000 positive stuff.
That is true.
That's the thing that I think we'll need to check each other on is like, how often are you giving points? Like, you're going to need to give them like hotcakes. Like, you're going to, when you introduce this back in, it's going to need to be like way more of your time than you feel like is necessary because they need to buy into it, you know?
Now, am I going to like align the points with anything besides just recess? Like, I don't know. Because some kids don't care about recess and they're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think would be meaningful for your students knowing that? That can be daily. You can have a recess thing that can be like midday, right? You say 12:30 now as you can
and then,
go.
like, that's also like, what do I do after like 12:30? Well, after we come back from recess, like math the other day, like it was yesterday. We had recess at 12:30 to whatever 1, and then like we came back at 1 o'clock, and it was just like a struggle.
Yeah.
And like back in and just like.
And I don't want that. So what does the end of your day look like? Like,
Well,
how do you
now-
think you can celebrate if people get things at the end of the day?
I don't know. I feel like my end of the day, I don't know, it's still like new, so I don't really know how the end of the day works. Because like the other day, we didn't go outside today because it was bad. Like after everything and just like it didn't feel like a very good day, so we didn't go outside. But like the day before, I only had like 10 or 12 kids go outside, but I stayed inside, so it's like still like. I don't know. But, so today I taught up until like 2:45. So, and then like we just got ready for dismissal. But, I don't even remember what happened the other day. I think I taught till like 2:45 also.
That's great. I don't want to dissuade you from doing that, but I think it could be good for you, especially when you're starting to implement this, to have like as many points where you stop and celebrate the people who are doing right.
Okay.
So if you're teaching till 2:40, is that when the first bus gets called? 2:45?
No, 3 o'clock. So there is like that 15 minutes, but that dismissal is the bane of my existence. I hate it.
Yeah, dismissal's really hard.
It's so bad. They just won't sit down and like they won't sit down. They're like, I don't know. And they just get so loud. But
Well, the dojo points could be really helpful there too. Maybe it can be like as you leave the class, you get like a Skittle.
okay.
That doesn't have to be it, because I have a memory of my 4th grade teacher giving me 1 Skittle at the end of the day for helping her clean her classroom. Like for each like 6 pieces of trash we picked up, we'd get 1 Skittle, and we were like, I must have that Skittle. But I don't know if that's the way you want to do. But
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know, because I'm broke. I can't.
yeah, I
do
don't
that.
want you to have to buy anything if you don't want to.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind like buying like the giant bag of M&Ms again, but then again it went back to all my M&Ms would go missing. Like I turned my back and they'd be gone. So it's like we have a stealing issue in my classroom. Yeah, like all my markers went missing. Everyone's stuff is going missing.
Do you think that if you do recess, you can have it be like the day before into tomorrow? Like the...
Yeah, but then like even my kids know, like even if I started no recesses the day before, I
Well, it could
very
be
rarely
like the
carry it
dojo
over.
list. Like,
Yeah.
like if you're doing it, like if you get to X amount of points, you can go to recess. You can like set it to 0 again,
Okay.
like after recess, and be
recess?
like, now we have the chance to earn tomorrow's recess.
Okay. So, because I was resetting it at the end of the day, so now just reset it after.
Yeah, and you can be like,
Recess.
it's a fresh start, like math time, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, that's comfortable. I like that.
Do you think that your kids would buy into that too?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are like, oh well, I won't get my name off now, but like my name's on the board now, but tomorrow it won't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a punitive thing. It's like these kids did really good today.
Yeah.
You know, because you're measuring it based on the positive stuff. So we can try that too. And if it feels like recess isn't sticky, that doesn't mean the whole system has to change. It just means we might have to reevaluate how do we like celebrate and share. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. So dojo points, recess, cool. Chastity, cool. Now, when you think about what you look for to give like a positive dojo point to for whatever, like what in the past have you given
If they
points
like follow directions, like if I tell them to like in the morning, like if they come in quietly, like I went over like I guess I have to like re-go over expectations.
I think
again.
that could help when you
I
reintroduce
think like
it.
if I reintroduce it, like re-going over, because I think I saved them, our expectations. Like every morning they have like morning work to do, and I bought them all a notebook. So like, because I was so sick of paper, so sick of it. Like, so they all have like a
It's
notebook.
good. They learn
that's,
study
like,
skills and organization.
And like, so like they do their morning work. So if as soon as I see them like take out their notebook, they get a point. Like if I see them doing their morning work, they get a point. Like if they,
Vicky, this is great.
yeah. But it just, I was like so tired of the iPad that I just kind of
Yeah. See, we need to get your like.
stabbed up.
It needs to become second nature.
Yeah. And like, if they were quiet, they got a point. If they were working hard, they got a point. If like they were lined up right away and I didn't have to say anything, they would get a point.
Vicky,
And then I would
this
get
is
out.
so good.
Yeah.
How are those mornings when you did that?
I felt like it worked for some, then some they're just like,
Well, how long did you do that?
I did it since Christmas, since I got back from Christmas
Till
till last week.
okay. Well, it takes a while, you know. But still, if like 70% of your class is doing that, that means you have far fewer kids to redirect than otherwise. You know,
It was working. It was just like,
it takes getting used to for you.
and then I think I was doing like if they got 10 points, they got a token. But then all my tokens were missing. I just got one token. And
Well, you'll still be able to
Yeah.
get that retroactively based on the dojo data.
yeah.
Okay, so there's the follow direction blanket one that you just give a bunch for depending on whatever the activity is that they're doing.
If they're in their seat, they get one.
So like safe seating. I don't know why I'm circling these.
Like if I was trying to like bring them in, if they like were one of like the first couple people to like put their eye, like following directions like quickly, I guess was like my main thing.
So and like respecting the speaker, etc. So this would mean then you'd have to be like super explicit with your directions and then be really, really intentional about giving points quickly.
Okay.
I think this could be great though.
Yeah.
I think it could really be great. It would mean that like I know when you're planning you're really thoughtful about what the kids are going to be doing, and so it's almost like you internalize your plans extra well, so then that becomes second nature and you can focus on the dojo really quickly.
I have to write all my plans now. We can't.
I heard about that, but I feel like you just still share and then adapt for you, right? Because you guys had a good system going. So when feels realistic to roll out this again?
Probably Monday.
On President's Day when you're sleeping in your bed? I hope not. Tuesday. So Tuesday.
Yes.
Now, I am really excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited about this because I feel like it's something you've already used that you felt was successful, but you just need to get the stamina back. And I think that the recess thing, if we keep that consistent, we can talk like 2 weeks after you've tried it and been like, do they buy into recess or do we need to reconsider what the points match with?
And then like I was so good when coming back from break. Like I got my 2 computers working. But then, like, in the middle of a lesson, I'd see kids on the computer instead of, like, and so I, like, unplugged them and, like, I took the mice away. But then they learned how to just use the keyboard to, like, start things. And I'm just like, oh. So it was like, I can't have the I felt like I can't have the computers on because then they're, like, on the computers while I'm trying to, like, teach. I, like, turn it, like, I feel like I was, like, turning around and, like, this one had the iPad, this one was on the computer. So I was like, what? What's going on right now? So it was like frustrating. And then I kind of black shark come in every morning. Can I go on the computer? Can I go on the computer? Can I go on the...
So you'd use the computer to project how they were doing?
I would use the computer as a reward at the end of the day. Whoever had the 2 highest people with the most points would go on the computer during dismissal.
Got you.
So, but then like, I couldn't really do that because...
I ended up, when I did dojo, giving the 2 highest people a bag of chips.
I was thinking about that.
And I mean... I didn't have as much of a stealing problem as it sounds like. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done that.
But I feel like I'm scared it would be the same 2 people every day. That's what I feel like.
But you can be like the highest person, the person who improved the most.
Okay.
Like if you're keeping the data, you can see like, okay, like Cameron, for example, I have a feeling sometimes he might call out or like might get up, and bless his heart. It's just, he has a lot of energy. But maybe the next day he does super awesome and really improves. You can celebrate him too.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's something to consider. Like maybe there's a way to celebrate the student with the most growth and the student who had the highest score. Yeah, let's write this down.
Yeah,
okay, most growth.
Because I'd like to have the computers there because, like, they enjoy it and it's like another...
And I feel like if you're really clear about it, there won't be any questions like, why am I not on it? Like, oh, tomorrow if you get the most dojo points, you could be on it at the end of the day.
Like, it turned into, like, 10 kids at one computer. And then they were elbowing each other and shoving in. I was just like...
And that's when, while they're on the computer, you give points to everyone else for sitting quietly and be like, next day I can tell, like... Alicia really wants to be on the computer tomorrow. Yeah. She's sitting so silently. I can totally picture her doing that.
Yeah.
Cool. Does this feel optimistic?
Yes.
Because joyful, dare I say? So
I'm just scared about consequences and like what to do about them because I hate giving them.
I know you do. I know. So how can we weave this in then? With it, Or do you think consequences could be separate from dojo? What do you think?
What consequences to give? That's my problem. It's like
What to give them for or what to do?
No, like what consequences I should be giving. Like not like what behaviors, but like
I was like, I feel like you know what behavior.
yeah, I know what behaviors, but not like how to get. Like I know when to give them, I guess.
Are your eyes hurting from the sun?
No, it's good.
Okay.
I'm just gonna move this
If
way.
you need to move, just tell me.
That's okay.
I saw your eyes looking like they were in pain.
But like, okay, you get a warning, then you get like a consequence, but like what consequence? It's just like, okay, it used to be like no recess.
But now that's being blended
now
in.
that's
It's based
being
on good
blended.
behavior, which
Yeah.
is more empowering, I think. Did any of your compatriots have good systems in their second grade rooms? Your little second grade team? Because what I see when I'm in, like, when I've been in Hammy's and Quentin's room, it's like a removal to a different part of the classroom. Like, you sit there for 10 minutes, and then you can come back. And if you do that again, then you go back there, and then you get out, you know?
Because like I've been sending kids to Halmay's room, and then they're like, "Oh, can I go to Halmay's room? Can I go to Halmay's?" So it like turned into like
Yeah.
an exciting thing. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be like a consequence, not something that you look forward to. I'm like, okay, you want to get out of the classroom? I understand.
They're going to want to be in your classroom when they feel like they're celebrated for their good behavior,
Yes.
you know? I do think that if this is done consistently and like you're really invested in it and on top of it, you will see less bad behavior choices because they're gonna be like, oh, if I do this good thing, then I'll get like this point, you know? So I hope some of that will go away.
Yeah.
But I wonder then, okay, so say there is some redirect that goes beyond just losing a dojo point. What have you tried besides moving them to Halmay's room?
Like no recess and write-ups.
So I think the no recess goes away now because of the positive points. So it could be like, how do they feel about kids sitting in the hall? Is that not allowed? Well, what about where Angel was sitting?
In the front.
Could that become like a reflection table? Like go sit at the reflection desk?
I don't have desks.
Or is that someone's actual desk?
That's Angel's actual desk.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
He's a sneaky boy.
Oh god.
Um,
Like they would give me another behavior problem.
Girl, you're gonna just be a kick-ass next year because you're like problem solving about really stressful things. You're gonna be a professional problem solver. That's what my instinct goes to because I feel like that's simpler. But I think it's like the dojo warnings, and I think it would be hard to keep track of if you're like, how many negative points have I given? Like you'd have to stop and look at it more than you probably want to. So it might have to be like something in conjunction with that.
I don't know. I think about it.
It has to be like pretty obvious to the students.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like when you give a negative point, you write their name on the board too.
Okay.
Or something so you remember. And then if they do something again, then they move to the reflection seat because you'll be able to look and see really quickly. And if they wipe it off, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you'll probably remember. Yeah. And, some teachers have their kids write reflection essays being like, this is how I'll be better next time. And you can always give them like a positive point after for like being persistent and like working hard to be better.
Yeah.
And then if they are doing something again, part of the school's procedure is to have them go out. So
Yeah.
does that sound feasible?
I think how they did it, like, that she would, like, she made something where they had to like write something like a couple times and then like hand it back in.
And that's good for parent documentation too.
Yeah, that's true.
I had my kids
I'm just
write.
saying this shit.
Yeah, move because it's
good.
blinding your face. I think it's good because you can quickly see whether kids are doing it or not, and that's documentation too. If they didn't do it, you can be like, well, you can go show Mr. Williams that you didn't do it or Mr. Roy that you didn't do it. Like, this is something I tried in my room before I sent them.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be like something they copy that's like a message like, I'm sorry for blank because it did blank or whatever.
I just like don't know how to use sentence frames. I was like using sentence frames. I'm like, wait, no, you just fill in the blank, and then they were like drawing a blank and then like answering all of.
We could do a sample or something.
I was like, I've never seen. You don't know what a sentence is. Okay. But
They will now because they have you.
hopefully.
That's what I would think.
Okay. I like that.
So let's write this down. Okay. Consequence. So if it's like a negative dojo, name on board. Name on board. And then another, like 2 negatives, reflection. Chair. Is that going to feel too fast? You're going to give kids more time to correct once you do this positive stuff.
Yeah.
So they might be doing things weird, but if they fix it, you can be like, oh, good job fixing it.
Yeah.
Ding. And then 3, referral, call. Cool.
So now can they like, I don't know, my kids are so big about like earning their name off the board. So if they like are doing that behavior, like can I erase their name and then like, or does it like they stay there and then they go to reflection? Because I'm like still like trying to figure out like, okay, should they have like a clean slate? But no, they're just like, it's not really that clean. So it's like, you can't earn it.
Maybe it can be the same thing that you're doing with like the clean slate in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Where it's like, just like we're starting fresh with dojo points, like we're going to have a fresh start. But that might mean you have to go right into the you know?
Yeah.
You can operate in that way where it's like the middle of the day, it's the afternoon, it's a new part of the day, but in June. But I wouldn't do it otherwise,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. Because
What
I
do
feel
you
like they
think?
go like off the board, back on the board, off the board, back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, you know, they learn how to manipulate.
They do.
So, does this feel like something that it's going to be able for you to implement? Like,
Yeah.
does this not seem overcomplicated?
As long
Okay.
as I get the reflection chair like set up, I have an idea. I might put it by the where I have the computers, like over in that area where I tried to have a listening center,
Yeah.
but it didn't work.
Yes.
So-
I like that. I think that's a good spot for it, too, because their back will be to the rest of the hullabaloo,
Yeah.
the learning. And I feel like if you can make the reflection activity quick enough where they're not going to miss a ton of
Yeah.
class. Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I feel like this is not scary.
Nah.
It's just
Because
going
it's
to
like
be...
using what I had and just like kind of like tweaking it.
Yeah, because I do think you have really good ideas, but we need to see them through a little bit.
What about the location of my iPad? Like, I'm still trying to like figure out like how to get it so that they won't like be constantly having it in their hands. Where it's like,
Well, you're going to have to be like extra explicit about it. Like, you can even jokingly give a whole point to the whole class every like 10 minutes, being like, the whole class is not touching my iPad. You're following my directions. Like, just to hit that point home. Or you can like create like a cute little like box around the iPad. Like, this is the iPad's like, I don't know. It's so
Okay.
cute, you know. And, yeah. That's going to be challenging, but you just are going to be really firm about that direction right off the bat.
yeah, okay.
We can look for cute things on Pinterest too, because I'm sure other teachers have thought about that too,
Yeah.
like mitts off technology. And you can also do Dojo on your phone, if you have an iPhone.
Yeah, I do. I know, I'm just scared about it.
Well, that's just an idea.
what I should do is I should really put a password on it and like have it like automatically lock. Because I had it like I have a password on there, but it doesn't lock until like 5 minutes. I feel like if they take it.
Well, and if you are being like, because the first week you're gonna have to be like the dojo master, like thousands of points. No lie.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be in your hand a lot more than normal. And that will be good because then you'll get used to it really quickly. So let's set like some markers so we can check in and see how we're doing. Like I think you're going to need to give points like hotcakes, like I said. I guess that's my new expression today. Like hotcakes. Where did that come from? I need to Google it. But
I've heard that before, though.
I know. I just feel like it's, like 1980 or 1800s, whatever. Like, so knowing you're going to have to give a ton of points, like by the middle of the day on Tuesday, how many points do you think you want to like have given per kid? Or in the class. It's like we're setting a goal for ourselves.
15.
For the whole class? Or per kid?
Per kid.
Okay, so how many students do we have? 26?
22.
20. Why did I do 15 times 2? Here's where my math comes in. 330. Okay, so each kid should have 15 positive points. At least. I feel like you're going to end up doing more than that.
I think so too.
Let's bump this up to 500. Okay?
Okay.
Middle of the day. Okay?
Okay.
So when I text you at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, you're going to tell me how many points you have. Okay? And then...
Do it at 11:30.
11:30. Okay. 11:30.
No, 11:15. Because... Sorry. I'm trying to think what my planning period is.
You're fine. So that's our goal for each day that week.
Okay.
Like each half of the day, we want to have 500 points. Your fingers are going to be so tired, but in the best way possible. And you're going to be so happy because you're going to be like, look at all my kids did 500 positive things today. I noticed them doing 500 things that they were doing right. Think of how much happier you're going to be when you notice those things. And hopefully there won't be a lot of this. But, okay, so... End of day and midday, we're going to check in and be like, did we reach our 500? Okay, so that's really exciting. Now, next week, I have like a crap load of meetings, which makes me sad. But I want to come in on Friday and see how it's going. And that'll be good because you'll have like 3 days to check and see, how it's feeling or whatever.
Okay.
Thinking about the times of days where you're worried most about you abandoning this iPad. Like, what time of the day do you think would be most helpful?
Probably like...
Afternoon or morning, and I can surprise you. That way I'll be like this sneaky, like, surprise midday. I don't want to, like,
Probably
totally
morning.
surprise you. Okay. So Friday, time, a.m. Jay's eyes will pop in.
Okay.
And it'll be so exciting and fun. And depending on how you feel it's going throughout the week, if you're still like, I don't know if I'm doing it enough, I'm not getting 500, the following week I can come in and see if like modeling it might be helpful with how many dojo points within a certain chunk of time, But then Friday, some time that morning, I'll check it out, and then we can find a time, like maybe it'll be before your playing period, maybe we'll find time to talk that day and figure out how it's been going and what we might need to add to like our dojo list and like what children are still frustrating, blah blah. Okay. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
And then I'm feeling really good about this. I also want to figure out too how we can weave in this like intrinsic motivation piece to it. And at our cohort time this semester, we're doing like tracks. So there's like a data track, a culturally responsiveness track, and like a video analysis track. And I wonder if maybe the data track would be good, so you can think about like, how do I share data with students and make it so they're really, really invested in it. I'm going to send an email tomorrow with like a survey, like which track do you want to be in? But I feel like that might be helpful for you and for Sai too, because I know both of you are like, our kids are making awesome growth. We want to share it with them. We don't know how.
Yeah.
So maybe Tuesday. That can give you time to think about it.
Gotcha.
Does this feel good?
Yeah.
Am I being like safe? I feel like you have been smiling talking about Dojo. Vicki, that smile needs to happen in your classroom. I'm going to take a picture of this for me, and then you could take that. This.
Okay. Thank you.
How is like life in general?
Life is good. I moved houses this weekend.
Yeah, did you not live with Kayla anymore, and now you're living with Kayla? You moved in with your boyfriend?
I was living with my boyfriend pretty much, but still like paying for Kayla's house, like had some stuff there. But now like we got rid of his house and all three of us are living.
How fun!
Yeah, so that was this week. So I've been like exhausted and I've been sick for like the past.
You've been sick for like the past 8 months.
I'm
For
I'm
real.
gonna be sick for the rest of my life.
We want to get you healthy.
I don't know how.
Also, Vicki, I really want you to do the happiness project with me. Do you want to do
What's
that?
the happiness project?
Okay, so I read this book, The Happiness Project,
I have
and
your books, by the way. You gave them to me like months and months and months
well,
ago.
keep looking through them now, and then you
Okay.
can give them back. Maybe that'll have good stuff for how to be really. Teach Like a Champion has to have something for like, if you are afraid to give positive points consistently, read this chapter. I feel like there must be something on that. Just we'll find a time to. We'll find a time. I forgot you had those.
I found it too. Because they were at Kayla's house. I was like, oh, I have these books and they're Julie's and I've been hoarding them. Oops. My bad.
No, I trust you. It's not like you'd steal them and forget to give them back. And it's not like I remembered that. But basically, The Happiness Project is this book that I read, and I went to, you know how I was just in Dallas for that like TFA summit? Last year, I went to a session on how this like MTLD in San Antonio used it for her and for her core members to like find professional happiness, but also like personal happiness and feel like they're living a balanced life or like noticing the good in their days. And I know that's something you really want to prioritize, noticing the good, you know, in like your class and in your students and your school, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I'm going to make a goal to do this, to read this book before this time next year. I read it 2 weeks before the summit, talk about procrastination, but it's so great. And Joy and I really want to do it. And I'm like, it could be a fun East thing for all of us to be happy together. Because you guys have such a beautiful East family.
We did. I love it.
I know.
I love the people on East, not necessarily anything. But I do.
That's what matters. People matter. People matter the most. Cool. So, iPad, little tasks. iPad location, reading Chassie's blog post, clarifying whether we want to add more like positive like ding things.
Is this on the WordPress?
Yeah, it's on the
one?
Culture WordPress. So that's like this weekend stuff.
Okay.
Next Tuesday, after a relaxing long weekend, you're gonna implement this with your kids. So it will mean probably during the morning you have that like morning meeting about resetting expectations or like clarifying that again. By 11:15, we're gonna have 500 points with at least 15 per kid positive. So that's like, still a good marker for it, because then you can have kids who are like Latasia, who are going to probably be a little more pushbacky. You still want them to get 15.
So now, like, do I need like a cutoff number for recess? Like,
yeah, what do you think? It could be the 15.
I think I might do 15.
So that will be great, because it will mean that all of them probably will get it, and they'll be like, yay, we were so great today. Do you like my second grade impression?
So excited.
I'm Julian.
I was just thinking about your one Instagram picture where you recreated the picture for you and your brother.
Oh my god,
I'm dying.
I did look like that. I
You
know.
just look like right now.
I did. Oh no, I looked like my 3-month-old self. Oh gosh, I know. You have to do that with your siblings. It was like a beautiful family moment. Anywho, I guess Julian looks like me when I was a baby. Cool. So that's going to be 11:15 on Tuesday. The consequences are going to be connected to JoJo. and like move up with a 3. We're hoping there's going to be less of those issues when we're noticing the good stuff more than we're noticing the bad. And so I'll text you midday throughout the week, and then Friday morning, I'll come check it out, and we'll talk about how it's going and what the next week can look like from that point. And then the data stuff next Tuesday at the cohort meeting. I do want you to think about this weekend too. How will you share this behavior with the parents, knowing that you communicate with them with behavior logs and stuff? Like, how can you weave this in? Yeah. I'm really excited for you to feel joyful and for your kids to feel joyful, because they need 6 months of growth by December.
Yeah.
And they're doing solid in math. We just need to get that writing stuff. Have you given the writing response where you've tracked it with the writing rubric?
Did I put it in the writing rubric?
You didn't send me one, but I trust that you've done it because you planned those.
Because we've been doing writing.
Maybe next time you look at the rubric, just send it along.
Okay. Yeah.
This weekend when you're looking at it again. I'll text you to remind you.
Yes, please.
But other than that, I feel like you're working really hard, and this is going to only make life happier.
Yes.
It's going to feel weird at first, but you trust your brain and your fingers.
Okay.
Here you go, girl. Are you going to come tomorrow for a scandal viewing? I do like how I said that in a hybrid British scandal.
I think so. It really depends on my day.
Yeah.
It depends on how tired I get. Because I haven't napped all week, and I've been a cranky person because I haven't napped. Also, Kayla wants to know if you're doing magic.
I was going to text her. Yeah, I really wanted to. I was worried she forgot, and I was going to be creepy.
She thought you forgot.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So we probably both had the same thought. Great. Oh my gosh, I'm going to text them right now.
Other people.
Oh my gosh, great. It's Travis's birthday, so maybe we'll make it part of his birthday celebration.
Watching Magic Night.
Oh my god. Okay, great. I am going to.
She might be sleeping now, but when I go home, I'll definitely see her.
Yeah, I'm going to text.
What time are you guys doing it?
Well, I have a meeting until 8:30, so 8:30.
I shall see.
That's so funny, because I literally was thinking about her being I wonder if she remembers that. I'll wait for her to reach out, because I don't want to be the creep that's remember we talked about watching Magic Mike?
She accidentally texted the wrong Julie, hey, Reed, did you cancel? And then the person's wrong Julie.
Oh no! She's I should have put it in my calendar. Vicky, keep the faith, girl. Keep the faith. I feel like I should sing you a Journey song right now. Don't stop believing.
Oh man.
I feel good about this. I'm excited for our texting midday.
I'm excited to go back to JoJo because I really did like it.
Tell Miss Kleins about it too. Maybe, I know she's not always the most has the wherewithal in the class, but I feel like if she sees you're really excited about it, she'll be helpful. She's not actively unhelpful, so you can be at least sort of tell Sai and Palme and Phillips, and so that if they see things, you'll be give them a point for la la la. Maybe they'll want to put it in their class too. Yeah, do you like I wore this today?
You always know everything, so you're so official. They all do JoJo. I was the only one who didn't.
Well, now you're going to join the bandwagon.
Yeah.